Everything is PNEUMA, the living breath behind all reality, flowing through you in every moment. When you learn to breathe like this, something shifts, and the universe begins to obey your every command. You'll never breathe the same again, because now you know what your breath truly holds. Everything is PNEUMA. Introduction. Within the sacred chapters of Through the Sacred Art of Conscious Breathing, the breath is revealed not as a simple act of survival, but as an ancient doorway, one that opens into the unseen currents shaping all existence. It is here that you begin to remember. Each inhale is a quiet invitation to receive the infinite, and each exhale a silent command that shapes what is yet to be. Breath is the language the universe understands beyond words. It is the rhythm beneath thought, the pulse beneath intention. When you breathe with awareness, you are no longer separate from creation. You become woven into its living fabric. In that space, possibility is not imagined. It is drawn in, felt, and released into form. There exists a hidden harmony between your inner rhythm and the vast intelligence of the cosmos. When your breath aligns with your deepest desires, something shifts. You enter a state where creation is no longer effort, but flow, where the boundary between wanting and becoming begins to dissolve. Your breath is the sacred bridge between realms, the invisible and the tangible, the dream and the manifested. Through it, the formless finds shape. Through it, intention becomes experience. To breathe consciously is to remember that you are not merely within the universe. You are an expression of it. Observe your breath, and it will reveal your truth. When it is shallow, life feels constricted. When it is deep, life expands to meet you. In its rhythm lies a mirror of your connection to existence itself. As you refine your breath, you refine your ability to create, to receive, to allow. The ancient ones understood this quiet power. They did not force reality. They moved with it, breathing in tune with its eternal flow. In that alignment, desire did not need pursuit. It unfolded naturally, as if called forth by the harmony of being. This is the path of effortless manifestation, not through control, but through remembrance, not through striving, but through surrender. Your breath is the key, the guide, and the gateway, and within it lies the silent truth. What you seek is already moving toward you, carried on the rhythm of your own divine inhale and exhale. Before we get into the book, comment "I am ready" to affirm your intention to the universe. Part 1. The Awakening of Breath. Chapter 1. The Whisper Beneath Everything. At the edge of a meandering river, Clara Henson found herself drawn to the rhythmic whispers of wind through the reeds. As she watched their gentle swaying, a profound truth awakened within her. The world itself was breathing, inhaling and exhaling in an eternal dance. In that moment, she understood that breath was not merely a biological function, but the very language through which the universe communes with creation. Through her discovery, you now touch upon an ancient wisdom. Your breath carries more than air. It carries the essence of your being, your intentions, and your deepest truths. When you breathe consciously, you step into harmony with the cosmic rhythm that shapes reality itself. The universe perceives your inner voice not through words alone, but through the sacred current of PNEUMA, the divine breath that flows through all things. This is the frequency of creation. the subtle vibration that transforms thought into form. Consider the tale of Elmer Brooks, who spent years reciting affirmations without result. His words, though carefully chosen, fell flat in the vast expanse of existence. One day, while walking through an autumn forest, he noticed how leaves danced with his every breath. In that moment, he realized his mistake. He had been sending messages without a carrier, like letters without addresses. When Elmer began to breathe life into his words, to let them ride upon his conscious breath, the universe finally heard his call. His affirmations, once hollow, became living seeds planted in fertile soil. Through this understanding, he discovered that manifestation occurs not through mere speaking, but through the marriage of intention and breath. Your breath is the divine messenger, carrying your desires to the very heart of creation. When you breathe consciously, you participate in the cosmic act of manifestation. Each inhale draws in unlimited potential. Each exhale shapes that potential into form. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you can be undisturbed. Allow your breathing to become slow and deliberate. With each inhale, feel yourself drawing in pure possibility, as if you are breathing in the dawn of a new world. With each exhale, release your intention into the universe, knowing that your breath carries the power of creation itself. Continue this practice until you sense the air becoming alive, responsive to your presence. Rest in this intimate connection, knowing you have found the sacred channel through which the universe listens to your heart's true calling. Chapter 2. The Shimmer When You Pause. May Delaney lived in a small coastal town where life moved at a relentless pace. Each morning she would rush through her routines, her mind churning with endless tasks and concerns. Yet one autumn evening, while sitting on her porch watching the sea fog roll in, she noticed something extraordinary in the rhythm of her breath, the space between. In that gossamer moment between inhale and exhale, May discovered a realm of perfect stillness. Her worries, which had seemed so substantial moments before, dissolved like morning dew in sunlight. This space, this sacred pause, held a power she had never known existed. The universe operates not just through motion, but through the spaces between movements, just as music finds its soul in the silence between notes. Your manifestations find their power in the pause between breaths. This is where energy reorganizes itself, where the scattered fragments of your intentions coalesce into coherent form. When you allow yourself to rest in these moments of stillness, you release the tension that interferes with natural abundance. Your resistance softens, and the universe can finally respond to your true vibration without static or distortion. Henry Lovell's story mirrors this truth. As a businessman constantly pursuing the next achievement, he found success elusive despite his relentless drive. One day, while watching a master potter at work, he noticed how she paused between each movement, allowing the clay to settle before the next transformation. Inspired, Henry began incorporating these conscious pauses into his breath. He discovered that in these moments of perfect stillness, solutions appeared effortlessly, opportunities aligned naturally, and success flowed with unexpected ease. The very peace he found in these pauses became a magnetic force, attracting abundance more powerfully than all his previous striving. Through Henry's experience, you glimpse a fundamental truth. Peace magnetizes abundance faster than desire ever could. When you rest in the silence between breaths, you align with the natural rhythm of creation itself. Sacred practice. Find a comfortable position and begin breathing naturally. Notice the subtle space that exists between your inhale and exhale. Allow this pause to expand in your awareness, as if it were a gentle golden field opening within you. In this space, recognize that nothing needs fixing, changing, or improving. Feel how your entire life breathes beside you in perfect harmony. Rest here, allowing manifestation to arise not from effort, but from the profound peace you've discovered in the sacred pause. Let this practice become your sanctuary, a reminder that the greatest power lies not in constant motion, but in the transformative stillness between breaths. Chapter 3. The Garden Inside You. In the heart of a village that time seemed to forget lived a woman named Nadia, who spent her mornings in her herb garden. Each dawn, before the world stirred from its slumber, she would kneel beside her treasured plants, letting her breath fall into rhythm with the morning dew. As she tended to each leaf and stem, she discovered a truth that would transform not just her garden, but her entire existence. The ancient wisdom speaks of breath as the bridge between intention and manifestation. When you breathe with conscious awareness, you become the conductor of life's orchestra. Your breath carries the power to nurture, to heal, and to manifest the deepest desires of your heart. Just as Nadia found that her herbs flourished under her breathing presence, you too possess this innate ability to cultivate abundance through the sacred marriage of breath and attention. The universe responds not to what you demand, but to what you become in your moments of peaceful breathing. This truth reveals itself in the story of Thomas, a wandering artist who discovered that his masterpieces emerged not from desperate striving, but from aligning his brushstrokes with his breath. Where once his canvases held only shadows of his vision, they now radiated with life itself. His secret lay not in technique, but in the rhythm of his breathing as he painted. The law of attraction operates through this subtle dance of breath and being. When you breathe with intention, you enter the flow of universal energy. Your breath becomes the gentle current that carries your desires into form. This is not manifestation through force, but through harmony. Sacred practice, the breath of creation. Find a quiet space where you can be undisturbed. Choose any object, task, or goal that awaits your attention. Before engaging, pause and establish a gentle breathing rhythm. With each inhale, welcome the object's essence into your awareness. With each exhale, send waves of appreciation toward it. Continue this breath exchange for several minutes, feeling how your energy merges with what you're focusing on. This practice awakens the ancient power of co-creation that has always resided within you. Through conscious breathing, you participate in the universe's endless dance of manifestation, where every exhale carries the seeds of tomorrow's blessings. Remember, the breath you take before any action determines the quality of its outcome. When you breathe with gratitude, you invite the universe to breathe its abundance through you. Chapter 4. The Sphere of Ease. In a village among ancient hills, a woman named Alice Munro carried the weight of countless worries. Each morning she would wake with thoughts tangled like threads of an impossible knot, her mind a constant battlefield of what-ifs and should-haves. Until one evening, as the sun painted the sky in hues of amber and rose, she discovered a truth that would forever alter her path. Sitting upon her weathered porch, exhausted from the day's mental struggles, Alice did something unexpected. She simply exhaled. In that moment of complete surrender, as the last whisper of breath left her body, an extraordinary thing occurred. The burden she had carried for so long lifted, dissolving into the evening air like morning mist before the sun. This revelation speaks to a fundamental truth of the universe. Your breath holds the key to liberation. When you cling to thoughts, to worries, to the endless cycle of mental resistance, you are quite literally holding your breath hostage. The universe cannot flow through a vessel that is already full. The ancient masters understood that freedom isn't found in controlling life, but in releasing into it. Your exhale is your sacred permission slip to let go. With each breath released, you participate in the universe's natural rhythm of surrender and renewal. This wisdom found further validation in the experience of Walter Mancini, whose work often placed him in the midst of conflict. Where once he met tension with tension, he discovered the transformative power of conscious breathing. In meetings where emotions ran high and voices rose with anger, Walter would respond not with defense, but with deep, calm breaths. Like magic, he watched as agitated clients began to mirror his peaceful state, their harsh words softening, their rigid postures relaxing. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, reflects back to you the quality of your own being. When you breathe with ease, existence responds in kind. This is not mere coincidence, but the operation of cosmic law. Your state of being creates your reality, and nothing affects your state more directly than your breath. Sacred practice. The breath of release. Find a quiet space and settle into a comfortable position. Allow your breath to flow naturally, focusing particularly on your exhale. With each out-breath, silently whisper, "Thank you," not as a mere phrase, but as a recognition of the profound gift of release. Let each exhale carry away whatever you no longer need to hold. Continue breathing this way until you feel effort dissolving, until letting go becomes as natural as the falling of leaves in autumn. The universe awaits your surrender, ready to fill the space you create with its infinite abundance. The art of manifestation lies not in grasping, but in releasing. Your breath shows you the way. It knows when to hold, when to release, when to receive anew. In this sacred rhythm lies the secret of effortless being. Chapter 5. The Breath That Hears. In the depths of a moonlit night, a woman sat alone in her garden, her heart heavy with uncertainty. Through her tears, she whispered a prayer into the darkness, not with her voice, but with her breath. As the cool night air filled her lungs, Ruth Porter discovered something remarkable. Her body knew what her mind could not grasp. The answer she sought arrived not as words, but as a subtle shift in her breathing pattern, an ancient wisdom awakening within. Through breath, you connect to the infinite intelligence that orchestrates the cosmos. Your lungs speak a language older than thought, older than doubt. When you breathe consciously, you enter into communion with the universe itself. This is not mysticism, but the original form of knowing, the wisdom that existed before words. The breath carries messages both ways. Your inhale opens you to receive. Your exhale transmits your deepest truth. This sacred exchange happens thousands of times each day. Yet how often do you truly listen? How often do you recognize that every breath is the universe reaching out to you, and you reaching back? Charlie Gilman discovered this truth in the midst of a crucial business decision. Rather than analyzing spreadsheets endlessly, he began taking deep, intentional breaths before each choice. Soon he noticed an uncanny pattern. The right opportunities seemed to appear precisely when needed. Phone calls came at perfect moments. Chance meetings led to breakthrough partnerships. The universe appeared to orchestrate events around his aligned breathing. This is because inspiration, true guidance, travels on the breath. The word itself tells us this truth. Inspire, to breathe in. When you breathe with presence, you become a receiver for divine intelligence. Your lungs transform into living antennae, attuned to frequencies of wisdom your mind alone cannot access. The secret lies not in forcing answers, but in creating space to receive them. Each breath is an invitation for guidance. Each exhale releases attachment to outcome. In this rhythm of reception and release, clarity emerges naturally, like dawn breaking over still waters. Time bends differently in this space of sacred exchange. A single breath can contain more wisdom than hours of mental activity. The universe speaks in the language of energy, and your breath is the translator, converting cosmic intelligence into physical knowing. This is not about seeking advice, but about remembering how to listen. Your breath already knows the way. It has been guiding you since before your first cry in this world. When you breathe consciously, you step into an ancient stream of knowing that has flowed through all wise ones who came before. Ancient practice of sacred exchange. Find a quiet moment and settle into a comfortable position. Begin by taking 3 natural breaths to center yourself. As you inhale, silently pose your question to the universe, not with words, but with pure intention. Let your exhale become a moment of receptive silence. Feel each breath as a complete conversation. Question on the inhale, answer in the exhale. Continue this rhythm for 7 breaths, allowing each cycle to deepen your connection to inner wisdom. Trust that the answers you seek arrive not as thoughts, but as subtle shifts in your energy, gentle nudges of knowing that your breath will illuminate. Chapter 6. The Quiet Leader. In the quietude of a small office space, a tale unfolds that reveals one of the most potent secrets of leadership. Hazel Bell, a department director, had always believed that motivation came from forceful words and dynamic action. Day after day, she would stride into meetings with carefully prepared speeches and bold initiatives. Yet something felt misaligned. Her team, though competent, seemed to drift like leaves in an uncertain wind. One morning, arriving earlier than usual, Hazel found herself alone in the conference room. The silence invited her to pause, and in that moment she remembered the ancient wisdom her grandmother once shared. The breath you carry becomes the air others breathe. Taking a deep inhale, she allowed her shoulders to soften. With each exhale, she felt a subtle shift in the room's atmosphere. When her team arrived that day, something had changed. Without speaking a single word about targets or deadlines, Hazel noticed her colleagues settling into a natural rhythm of collaboration. Ideas flowed more freely. Tensions dissolved before they could take root, and solutions emerged as naturally as dawn follows night. The universal law reveals itself most clearly in such moments of surrender. Your breath carries a vibration that ripples through the collective field of consciousness. When you enter any space, your respiratory rhythm becomes a silent symphony that others unconsciously attune to. This is not metaphor, but the precise mechanism through which energy transfers between beings. Consider Leonard Price's discovery with his children. As a father of 3 spirited young ones, he had tried every parenting technique available. Yet the most profound change came when he noticed how his own breathing pattern influenced his household's atmosphere. On days when his breath was shallow and rushed, chaos seemed to multiply. But when he maintained steady, deep breaths, his children naturally fell into more harmonious patterns, without a single word of instruction. The universe operates through resonance, not resistance. Your breath is the tuning fork that sets the frequency for those around you. When you breathe with conscious awareness, you become a living transmitter of peace, clarity, and purpose. This is why the ancient masters taught that true leadership begins with the breath. Every gathering you enter is an energy field waiting to be harmonized. The breath you bring becomes the invisible conductor of that symphony. This is not about control, but about contribution, offering a stable frequency that allows others to find their natural balance. Practice. Find a quiet place before entering any group setting. Close your eyes and breathe deeply for 7 full cycles. Feel each breath creating waves of steadiness in your energy field. As you enter the group space, maintain awareness of your breath's rhythm, knowing it serves as a silent anchor for collective harmony. Your calm breathing pattern becomes the subtle music to which others naturally attune, creating a field of coherence that uplifts without words. Chapter 7. The River Always Returns. In the quiet hills beyond the city, Jenny Crane stood at her window each morning, watching the mist roll through the valley. For years, she had gripped her plans with white knuckles, believing that control meant progress. Yet the universe had other designs. One dawn, as she prepared her usual list of tasks and timelines, something shifted. Rather than immediately diving into action, she paused. Taking a deep breath, Jenny felt the morning air fill her lungs. With each exhale, she noticed how the mist below moved effortlessly, finding its natural path through the trees. That moment sparked an awakening. The more she aligned with her breath, the more her rigid planning transformed into fluid intention. Projects that once felt like pushing boulders uphill began flowing like streams finding their course. Her breath became the gentle current that carried her desires forward. In the marketplace across town, Floyd Simmons faced a different lesson. After losing a significant business deal, he spent months chasing every lead, desperately trying to recapture what had slipped away. His breathing was shallow, anxious, matching his grasping mindset. One evening, exhausted from pursuit, Floyd sat in his garden. As the setting sun painted the sky, he simply breathed. With each inhale and exhale, he released his grip on what was lost. To his amazement, within weeks, 3 better opportunities appeared, each more aligned with his true path than the original. The universe operates through flow, not force. When you breathe with trust rather than tension, you allow the natural current of manifestation to move through your life. Your breath becomes the bridge between intention and reality. Like a leaf riding the river's surface, Your desires travel most efficiently when carried by the stream, rather than pushed against it. Holding your breath, whether from anxiety, control, or fear, creates resistance in the flow of abundance. But when you breathe with faith, you open channels for the universe to deliver in ways far beyond your planning. Your breath is the sacred messenger that carries your dreams into the vast ocean of possibility. Manifestation through breathing isn't passive waiting, it's active allowing. It's understanding that the same force that moves the tides and spins the planets flows through your lungs. When you trust this flow, you become part of the universe's natural abundance, rather than struggling against it. Practice. Each evening, find a quiet moment and sit comfortably. Take 3 deep breaths to center yourself. Then, as you exhale each breath, envision it as a small boat carrying your wishes downstream. See your intentions floating peacefully away, knowing they are being carried to their perfect manifestation. Release any urge to direct or control their journey. Trust that the river of life knows the ideal path to bring your desires home. Chapter 8. The Soundless Choir. In the depths of an ancient mountain temple there lived a wise merchant named Alessandra who spent years seeking the key to abundance. Despite her vast knowledge of trade and commerce, true prosperity eluded her grasp. One dawn, as she sat in meditation, her breathing grew so quiet she began to hear a subtle humming within her chest, not the beating of her heart, but a more ethereal tone that seemed to resonate with the very air around her. This vibration carried a wisdom deeper than words. The universe speaks not through grand proclamations, but through the subtle symphony of your own breath. Each inhalation contains frequencies that align you with the cosmic dance of creation. When you attune to these inner tones, you naturally harmonize with the flowing currents of abundance. Your breath holds within it every note of manifestation. As you inhale, you draw in not just air, but the very essence of universal harmony. Each exhale releases your unique contribution to existence's endless song. This is why those who breathe consciously often find their desires manifesting with unexpected grace. They have unknowingly matched their vibration to the universe's natural rhythm. Consider Thomas, the desert wanderer, who discovered that his water supply multiplied mysteriously once he began breathing in rhythm with the wind's whispers. He realized that scarcity was merely breath held in discord, while abundance flowed through surrendered respiration. The power lies not in controlling your breath, but in allowing it to reveal its hidden melodies. When you breathe without expectation, you begin to notice the subtle variations in tone. Some breaths sing of peace, others of possibility, each carrying its own transformative frequency. These vibrational patterns are the original language of creation, predating all spoken words. They form the bridge between thought and manifestation, between desire and fulfillment. By listening deeply to your breath, you tune yourself to the frequency of your deepest aspirations. Practice. As you sit in stillness, turn your attention to the subtle sounds within your breathing. Notice the gentle whispers, the delicate tones that emerge as you inhale and exhale. Allow this internal melody to wash over you, knowing that as you align with these sacred frequencies, you naturally attune to the universe's abundant flow. Let each breath become a song of harmony between your being and the infinite source of all creation. Chapter 9. The Lantern Within. In the shadows of ancient wisdom lies a tale of Mildred Tate, whose heart once raced with perpetual unrest. Each day brought new waves of uncertainty until she stumbled upon a truth as old as time itself: the sacred relationship between breath and inner light. With every conscious breath she drew, Mildred noticed a warm glow kindling within her chest. Like a flame responding to gentle wind, this light grew stronger with each inhalation. What began as a flicker soon became a steady beacon, illuminating the darkest corners of her doubt. This ancient wisdom reveals a fundamental truth. Your breath serves as nature's own illumination system. When you breathe with awareness, you activate an inner lighthouse that guides you through life's storms. Your lungs are not mere organs, but sacred vessels of light, transforming simple air into radiant energy. The universe designed this system with perfect precision. Each time anxiety threatens to extinguish your inner flame, your breath stands ready as the eternal torchbearer. One conscious breath can rekindle the light of awareness, dispelling shadows of fear and uncertainty. Calvin Romano's story reinforces this timeless teaching. As a writer of sermons, he often found himself searching for divine inspiration. His breakthrough came when he discovered the light-breath connection. Before putting pen to paper, Calvin would sit quietly, breathing as if drawing in pure light. With each breath, his creative wellspring grew brighter, words flowing like rays of sunshine onto the page. Your breath holds this same transformative power. When you breathe with intention, you're not just taking in air. You're inhaling pure life force. This energy naturally transmutes into inner radiance, much like a lamp transforms oil into light. The more conscious your breathing becomes, the more this inner illumination spreads through your being. Ancient sages understood this connection between breath and brilliance. They knew that every inhalation carries the potential to brighten your entire existence. Your breath is the bridge between shadow and light, between confusion and clarity. Practice. Sit comfortably and imagine each breath as pure light entering your chest. With every inhale, feel a warm glow kindling between your ribs, as if lighting a sacred lamp within. As you exhale, visualize this light expanding outward, illuminating your path and brightening your world. Let each breath cycle become a ritual of illumination, transforming anxiety into radiant awareness. Chapter 10. The Golden Thread. In a small seaside town, Nora Benson spent her days gazing through her shop window, watching others live the life she yearned for. Her shelves held crystals and sacred texts, yet abundance seemed to dance just beyond her grasp. Each morning, she would write her goals, affirm her desires, and wonder why manifestation remained elusive. Until one dawn, as waves crashed rhythmically against the shore, she noticed how her breath matched their chaotic pattern, shallow, irregular, rushed. In that moment of awareness, something ancient stirred within her understanding. Her thoughts might have spoken of prosperity, but her breath told a different story, one of scarcity and doubt. That morning, she began to breathe as the ocean breathed, deep, measured, eternal. With each steady inhalation, she felt herself becoming the tide rather than the scattered foam. Her manifestations, once scattered like seabirds in a storm, began to arrange themselves with the same harmony as her breath. The universe speaks the language of rhythm. When your breath moves like a weaver's shuttle, steady, purposeful, assured, Reality itself becomes your loom. Each inhale draws in the threads of possibility. Each exhale binds them into form. This is the forgotten art of manifestation through PNEUMA, the sacred breath that transforms the invisible into the visible. Raymond Costa, a humble carpenter, discovered this truth in his workshop one morning. As sunlight filtered through sawdust, he noticed how his most beautiful pieces emerged not from forced effort, but from moments when his breathing flowed like gentle music. Each stroke of his tools became synchronized with his breath, and slowly, his simple workshop transformed into a sanctuary of creation. He began each day with 21 conscious breaths, feeling each one as a golden thread being woven into the fabric of time. His clients multiplied, his work gained recognition, and most surprisingly, his joy deepened. Not because circumstances changed, but because his breath had found its natural rhythm with the universe's own respiration. The power of PNEUMA reveals itself not in desperate gasps for success, but in the patient, rhythmic breathing that mimics the universe's own creative process. When you breathe with conscious rhythm, you align with the very pattern that birthed stars and galaxies. Your breath becomes the shuttle, weaving between the seen and unseen realms. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space and settle into a comfortable position. Begin breathing in a steady, gentle rhythm. 4 counts in, 4 counts hold, 4 counts out, 4 counts hold. As you maintain this pattern, imagine your dreams as golden threads of light surrounding you. With each inhale, see these threads drawing closer. With each exhale, feel them weaving themselves into the fabric of your reality. Continue this practice for 7 minutes, allowing your breath to stitch your visions into the tapestry of manifestation. Part 2. The Expansion of Vibration. Chapter 11. The Mirror of Air. In a bustling marketplace, a young merchant named Gloria Stanton sat behind her counter, shoulders tense and breath constricted as she watched competitors draw away her customers. With each lost sale, her resentment grew, and her breathing became increasingly shallow. The universe seemed to conspire against her success, or so she believed. One morning, an elderly woman approached her stall, not to buy, but to share a simple truth. Your breath tells stories your lips dare not speak. The woman gestured toward Gloria's reflection in a hanging mirror. Watch how you breathe when anger visits. Notice how life responds. This insight sparked a transformation in Gloria's awareness. She began observing her breath's patterns throughout each day. When frustration arose, her breathing constricted. When peace filled her heart, her breath flowed freely. The correlation was unmistakable. Her outer world mirrored her inner respiration. Through conscious breathing, Gloria discovered that each inhale offered a chance to choose anew. Rather than blame circumstances, she learned to breathe deeply, especially when challenges arose. As her breath expanded, so did her perspective. Customers began lingering at her stall, drawn by an inexplicable sense of ease. The ancient wisdom reveals that your breath serves as both mirror and sculptor of consciousness. When you breathe in patterns of lack, the universe reflects scarcity. When you breathe in rhythms of abundance, life responds with generosity. Your breath shapes the lens through which you perceive and create your reality. This truth found another witness in Patrick Lombardo, a teacher known for his quick temper. During a heated faculty meeting, he noticed his breathing had become rapid and shallow. Remembering an old teaching about breath awareness, he consciously slowed his respiration. To his amazement, the tension in the room dissipated. His colleagues' defensive postures softened, and solutions emerged naturally. Patrick realized that by changing his breath, he changed the emotional atmosphere around him. His new practice transformed not only his teaching style, but the entire classroom dynamic. Students responded differently when met with his measured breath rather than his previous reactivity. The universe operates through reflection, not as punishment or reward, but as a perfect mirror of your inner state. Your breath reveals your truest beliefs about life. When you breathe in patterns of trust and acceptance, existence returns that same quality of experience. When your breath carries judgment, life seems to judge you in return. Practice. Find a quiet moment before a mirror. As you gaze at your reflection, breathe deeply and slowly, allowing each exhale to carry away any harsh judgments about yourself or your circumstances. With each inhale, draw in the quality of forgiveness you wish to experience. Continue this practice until you notice your reflection softening, your features relaxing. This mirror meditation serves as a powerful reminder that the world reflects the quality of your breath back to you. Through this practice, you align with the ancient truth: the breath that forgives creates a life that embraces. As you breathe acceptance toward your own reflection, watch how life begins to soften its edges around you, matching your inner atmosphere of peace. Chapter 12. The Fountain of Presence. In a small cottage among rolling hills, Cora Milani sat frozen at her desk, drowning in a sea of thoughts. Lists, worries, and endless scenarios swirled through her mind like autumn leaves caught in a tempest. Her breathing grew shallow as each new concern piled upon the last, until the weight of tomorrow's uncertainties pressed against her chest like a stone. Then, in a moment of grace, she remembered the ancient wisdom passed down by her grandmother. When the mind storms, return to the breath. Placing her hand upon her heart, Cora allowed herself to feel the simple rhythm of air flowing in and out. With each conscious breath, the tornado of thoughts began to settle. As moments passed, she noticed something extraordinary. The very act of attending to her breath dissolved the illusion of time. The future, with all its imagined catastrophes, melted away. The past, with its heavy regrets, released its grip. There was only now, only this breath, only this moment of pure being. Through breath awareness, Cora discovered that presence isn't something to achieve. It's our natural state when we stop reaching beyond the now. Her mind's tendency to race ahead or lag behind simply couldn't survive in the clarity of conscious breathing. Each inhale brought her fully into the present moment, where she found an infinite wellspring of peace. This truth would later find resonance in Ernest Duffy's experience. As a financial advisor perpetually anxious about market predictions, Ernest lived in constant anticipation of future disasters. His breakthrough came during a meditation retreat, where he learned to anchor his awareness in the physical sensation of breath moving through his chest. Whenever fear about tomorrow arose, Ernest would bring his attention to the warm expansion and gentle fall of his breathing. In this simple practice, he found that fear couldn't coexist with present moment awareness. The future, he realized, was merely a thought, while his breath was undeniably real and immediate. The wisdom revealed through their experiences speaks to an eternal truth. Presence is not a destination, but a constant renewal. Each breath offers an invitation to step out of time and into the eternal now, where all power resides. When you rest in the sensation of breathing, you discover that the present moment is not a thin slice between past and future, but rather an infinite depth of being. Practice. As you settle into a comfortable position, allow each breath to wash away thoughts of past and future. Feel how your breath cleanses the lens of perception, revealing the pristine clarity of now. With each inhale, sense the fresh aliveness of the present moment. With each exhale, release all mental projections. Let your breath continuously rinse your awareness until only the eternal now remains, vibrant and infinite. Chapter 13. The Secret Machinery. In the quiet dawn hours, Dolores Frank sat at her small kitchen table, papers scattered before her, wrestling with questions about how thoughts become things. For years she had studied the law of attraction, filling notebooks with affirmations and vision boards with images, yet manifestation remained a mystery. Until one morning, as steam rose from her tea, she watched her breath fog the window and suddenly understood. Each breath carried her thoughts like leaves on a gentle wind. The universe wasn't responding to her mental pictures alone. It was responding to the living current of her breath that gave those images substance and form. As she breathed with this awareness, her entire being aligned with a deeper truth. Breath is the sacred conveyor that moves intention from the realm of thought into physical reality. The breath you draw in this moment is far more than mere air. It is the living bridge between the visible and invisible worlds. With each inhalation, you draw in the raw material of creation itself. With each exhalation, you imprint that material with the essence of your thoughts and feelings. This is the hidden mechanism of manifestation that the ancient masters knew. Breath is the sculptor's tool that shapes the clay of consciousness into form. When you breathe without awareness, your thoughts scatter like seeds in a chaotic wind. But when you breathe with purpose, each breath becomes a focused beam of creative force. The universe responds not to the intensity of your wanting, but to the harmony between your breath and vision. Vincent Clark discovered this truth in an unexpected way. After years of financial struggle, he began a simple practice of breathing in rhythm with images of abundance. As he inhaled, he would picture prosperity flowing into his life. As he exhaled, he would feel that prosperity taking tangible form. Within months, opportunities began appearing that transformed his circumstances entirely. His breakthrough came not from pushing harder or wanting more, but from allowing his breath to become the natural conveyor of his intentions. He had unknowingly tapped into the most fundamental law of creation. Energy follows breath. Ancient practice of breath. Manifestation. Find a quiet space and settle into a comfortable position. As you inhale, draw in not just air, but pure potential. Hold in your mind a clear image of your desired reality. As you exhale, feel that image being carried into form by your breath. Your breath is the sacred current that moves between worlds. Let it transport your vision from thought into being. Continue this practice until you sense your breath and vision moving as one unified force. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. The Featherweight. The ancient wisdom keepers understood a truth so simple that modern minds often overlook it. Breath is the machinery of transformation. In the quietude of dawn, Agnes Cooper discovered this truth as she sat with the weight of past regrets pressing against her chest. Each morning, she would watch the sun rise, feeling the burden of choices made years ago, until one day she stumbled upon the sacred art of breathing forgiveness. With each conscious breath, Agnes began releasing the dense energy of self-judgment. She learned that breath moves not just through lungs, but through time itself, carrying healing to moments long past. The universe operates through this subtle machinery. Every inhale draws in fresh possibility, while every exhale releases what no longer serves. As you breathe, you activate this divine mechanism. Your breath is the conveyor belt between spirit and matter, between what was and what could be. When you breathe with intention, you set in motion forces far beyond physical respiration. This is the hidden operation of manifestation. Thought carried on the wings of breath becomes reality. Stanley Rossi's story illuminates this principle further. After years of physical ailments that puzzled his doctors, he began a practice of breathing forgiveness into his body. With each exhale, he would release judgment about his past choices. With each inhale, he would welcome compassion into his cells. Within months, his health transformed, as though his very DNA responded to this subtle dialogue of breath and grace. Your body holds no grudges that your breath cannot dissolve. The machinery of healing operates automatically when you allow your respiration to carry kindness. This is not metaphor but mechanism, the actual physics of transformation encoded in your every breath. The universe has provided this tool, requiring no complex rituals or elaborate ceremonies. Simply breathing with awareness activates the machinery of manifestation. As you breathe forgiveness toward your past, you literally lighten the density of old energies. This creates space for new possibilities to enter. Ancient practice for releasing the past. Find a quiet moment at dawn or dusk. Settle into a comfortable position and bring awareness to your breath. As you inhale, imagine drawing in pure golden light of compassion. As you exhale, direct this light toward any memory that still carries pain. Continue breathing this way, feeling each exhale like a feather resting on your heart. Let your breath become a gentle caress across the landscape of your past. Practice this for several minutes, allowing each breath to soften what was once hard, brighten what was once dark. Chapter 15. The Wind That Teaches. In the mountains far from the bustle of cities, Frances Boyle walked along an ancient path, her steps heavy with the weight of perceived failure. Her latest venture had crumbled, and the familiar sting of disappointment clouded her thoughts. As she trudged forward, a sudden gust of wind swept through the valley, rustling leaves and carrying with it the scent of wild sage. The unexpected force caused her to halt, and in that moment she noticed how the trees didn't resist, but danced with the wind's movement. Standing there, Frances observed how each branch yielded to the air's guidance, bending without breaking. The wind, she realized, wasn't an interruption, but a teacher, showing her how to move with life rather than against it. With each subsequent breeze, she began matching her breath to nature's rhythm, and a profound understanding dawned. Failure wasn't her enemy, but a current of change inviting her to adapt and grow. The breath of life flows not in straight lines, but in spirals, carrying wisdom in its motion. Just as wind shapes mountains over millennia, your breath shapes the landscape of your experience. When you resist change, you create turbulence in your energy field. But when you breathe in harmony with life's movements, even setbacks become stepping stones. Gordon Valetti, a merchant in Venice, discovered this truth within the maze-like channels of commerce. Where once he met market fluctuations with rigid plans and tense shoulders, he learned to breathe spaciousness into uncertainty. During negotiations that once would have triggered anxiety, he maintained a steady, open breath. This simple shift transformed his perception. Challenging clients became opportunities for growth. Market downturns revealed hidden possibilities. The universe speaks through motion. Each breath carries a message, if only you attune to its whispers. When circumstances appear to oppose your desires, pause and notice your breathing pattern. Are you contracting against life or expanding with its flow? The answer lies in your next breath. Breathing openness into uncertainty allows wisdom to enter. Just as the wind carries seeds to unexpected places where they might flourish, your breath carries your consciousness to new territories of understanding. Every gust of change brings with it the seeds of transformation. The ancient practice of wind wisdom. Find a quiet space where you can breathe freely. As you inhale, imagine drawing in the fresh winds of possibility. With each exhale, release the tension of needing to control outcomes. Where fear once constricted your breath, let curiosity expand it. Feel how wisdom naturally flows in when you create space for it through your breath. Continue this practice until you sense your energy aligning with life's natural movement. Chapter 16. The Laughing Breath. In a small village among ancient hills, Daphne Carver spent years pursuing spiritual enlightenment with furrowed brows and tense shoulders. She meticulously followed sacred texts, performed rituals at precise times, and measured her progress with rigid determination. Each morning, she would rise before dawn, assuming the perfect meditation posture, forcing herself to find peace through sheer will. One autumn morning, as she sat in her garden attempting to reach higher consciousness, a playful breeze tickled the wind chimes above her head, creating an unexpectedly whimsical melody. The sound struck her as absurdly beautiful, and before she could stop herself, she burst into genuine laughter. To her amazement, in that moment of spontaneous joy, her entire being filled with light. She felt more connected to the universe in that burst of authentic delight than in all her hours of serious meditation. Your breath carries the seeds of transformation, yet these seeds flourish not in the soil of solemnity, but in the garden of joy. When you release your breath through laughter, you align with the universe's natural rhythm of expansion and celebration. Each chuckle sends ripples of healing through your energy field, dissolving the barriers that excessive seriousness builds around your spirit. Harold Santori discovered this truth in his own way. As a relationship counselor, he had always approached his work with grave responsibility. His sessions were structured, methodical, and while effective, often felt heavy. One day, during a particularly tense couples session, his young daughter burst into the office wearing a ridiculous costume, causing everyone to break into unexpected laughter. The shift in the room was immediate and profound. From that day forward, Harold incorporated gentle humor and lightness into his practice. He noticed that when couples could laugh together, their defenses melted naturally. Their breathing synchronized, their faces softened, and solutions emerged effortlessly. The simple act of shared laughter did more to heal relationships than hours of serious discussion. This wisdom speaks to a fundamental truth. The universe itself breathes with joy. Creation is an act of celebration, not labor. When you allow your breath to dance with laughter, you join in this cosmic celebration. Your energy field expands, your vibration rises, and manifestation flows with natural ease. The ancient practice of joyful breath. Find a quiet space and begin by taking several normal breaths. Then let your lips curl into a gentle smile. As you inhale, imagine drawing in sparkles of light. As you exhale, release your breath with a soft, quiet giggle. Don't force it. Let it bubble up naturally. Continue this practice until joy feels as natural as breathing itself. Let each breath carry playfulness through your body, transforming serious energy into light-hearted wisdom. Chapter 17. The Blue Horizon. In the fading light of dusk, Irene Foster sat beneath the endless expanse of sky, her gaze drawn upward to the seamless blend of colors stretching beyond sight. As she watched wispy clouds drift overhead, a profound understanding washed over her. Her breath shared the same boundless quality as the heavens above. With each inhalation, she felt her consciousness expand, reaching past the artificial borders her mind had constructed. Her worries about monthly bills and career advancement began to dissolve as her breath merged with the vast canvas above. The sky held no walls, no ceilings, no limitations, and in that moment she recognized that neither did she. This simple truth became the cornerstone of her transformation. Where once she saw obstacles, she now perceived pathways. When challenges arose, she would pause to breathe with the same expansiveness as the horizon, allowing solutions to emerge naturally from this state of unlimited potential. The lesson crystallized. Breath creates mental spaciousness beyond limitation. Just as the sky contains both storms and sunshine without being defined by either, your breath holds the power to expand your perception beyond temporary constraints. Clyde Martino's discovery emerged from a different path, yet led to the same wisdom. As a small business owner facing economic uncertainty, he had trapped himself in scarcity thinking. His shoulders hunched, his breathing shallow, his vision narrowed to seeing only lack. One morning, standing outside his shop, he noticed how his constricted breathing matched his constricted worldview. With conscious intention, he began to breathe more openly, imagining his lungs as vast as the morning sky above. As his breath expanded, so did his perspective. Ideas for new opportunities began flowing naturally. Where he once saw competition, he now recognized potential partnerships. What had appeared as limitations transformed into launching points for growth. His shift from scarcity to possibility proved that breath could literally expand the boundaries of thought. When we breathe small, we think small. When we breathe vast, we access vast resources within. Ancient practice for expanding consciousness. Find a quiet moment and space. Standing or sitting, raise your eyes to the sky. Begin breathing as if your entire being extends into that endless expanse. With each inhalation, draw in the limitless potential of the universe. With each exhalation, Feel that infinite possibility grounding itself into your present moment. Let your breath dissolve the walls of perception, revealing the boundless nature of your true potential. Chapter 18. The Pulse in All Things. In a small garden between ancient stone walls, Nellie Quinn rested her palm against the weathered bark of an oak tree. As moments passed, the boundary between flesh and wood seemed to dissolve. Her breathing slowed, matching the tree's subtle exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. In that sacred connection, she discovered that separation was merely an illusion, a story humans tell themselves about being apart from nature. Through your breath, you participate in life's eternal dance. Each molecule of air joins you with the tapestry of existence, weaving you into the fabric of creation itself. When you breathe consciously, you remember your place in this infinite exchange. The universe does not recognize borders between beings. The same force that draws breath through your lungs moves through every living thing. Your inhalation is the world's inhalation. Your exhalation feeds the great cycle of life that has sustained itself since time's beginning. Eugene Serrano stumbled upon this truth while sitting with his aging dog one evening. As his companion rested against him, their breathing naturally synchronized. In that moment, he felt the profound simplicity of shared existence. There was no his breath or the dog's breath, only breath itself, moving through both beings as one current. This realization transforms how you relate to the world around you. When you sense the shared pulse of life, competition dissolves into cooperation. Fear melts into fellowship. The artificial walls between self and other crumble, revealing the truth. All life breathes as one body, one being, one breath. Your breath is not yours alone. It belongs to the great symphony of respiration that plays through all of creation. The trees are your lungs. The wind is your spirit. The rhythm of waves matches your heartbeat. In this understanding lies the deepest secret of manifestation. You cannot be separate from what you wish to create, for you are creation itself, breathing. Immerse yourself in this ancient practice. Find a quiet space in nature. Place your hand on a tree, a flower, or hold a beloved pet. Close your eyes and feel the subtle movement of breath, not just your own, but the shared current of life flowing through both beings. Let your breathing naturally align with theirs until you can no longer tell where your breath ends and theirs begins. In this sacred communion, you remember what your mind forgot, but your body always knew. You are not alone. You are not separate. You are breath itself, dancing through countless forms in endless celebration of life. This is not metaphor, but direct experience. Through conscious breathing, you rediscover your place in the living tapestry of existence. Each breath reminds you that unity is not a distant spiritual goal, but your natural state of being. As you share breath with the world around you, the illusion of separation dissolves, revealing the truth that has always been here. One life, one breath, one being, expressing itself through infinite forms. Practice sensing shared breath with your surroundings until separation becomes an old myth. Chapter 19. The Door of Trust. In a distant village there lived a weaver named Lydia Burke, who spent her days crafting intricate tapestries, each thread woven with her anxious need for certainty. Her hands would tremble as she worked, her breath shallow and constricted, matching her tight grip on life's reins. With every pattern she created, she sought to control not just the threads before her, but the very fabric of her destiny. One evening, as the sun cast long shadows through her workshop window, Lydia's fingers cramped from their constant tension. In that moment of forced pause, she noticed how her desperate grip had created knots and tangles in what should have been a flowing design. As she sat back, her breath naturally deepened, and with each exhale, she watched the remaining threads dance gently in the evening breeze. It was then that the ancient wisdom revealed itself. Just as threads must have space between them to create a tapestry, life requires space to weave its perfect pattern. With each conscious release of breath, Lydia felt her need for guarantees dissolving into something far more powerful: trust in life's own rhythm. This understanding transformed not only her art, but her entire existence. Her tapestries became more beautiful when she allowed spaces between the threads, just as her life flourished when she created space through surrender. Each exhale became a doorway through which unexpected blessings entered, proving that security lay not in rigid control but in gentle release. Miles away in a bustling city, Perry Mancuso learned this same truth in his consulting practice. For years, he had chased clients with the desperation of a drowning man gasping for air. His calendar was a battlefield of forced opportunities and stressed negotiations. But transformation came when he observed how his plants thrived without his constant attention, requiring only consistent light and space to grow. Following this natural wisdom, Perry began to breathe more spaciously in his work life. He stopped clutching at opportunities and instead created room for them to appear. To his amazement, the perfect clients began arriving precisely when he ceased his frantic pursuit. His practice flourished not through force, but through the same principle that makes gardens grow, allowing space for life to unfold. These stories whisper an ageless truth. Breath and trust flow together as nature's twin guides. When you release your grip on life's steering wheel, you discover that existence itself knows the way. Every exhale is an act of faith in the universe's infinite wisdom, every release an invitation to grace. The sacred practice passed down through ages beckons. As you breathe today, feel each exhale as a gentle surrender into the vast intelligence that orchestrates galaxies. Let your breath create doorways through which miracles enter. Rest in the soft space that follows release, knowing that in this holy gap between breaths, all possibilities await. Your trust becomes the key that unlocks life's flow, and your surrender becomes the very security you once sought through control. Practice. Find a quiet moment and settle into your natural rhythm. With each exhale, release not just your breath, but your grip on outcomes. Feel how each surrender opens an invisible door to grace. Rest in the gentle space that follows, knowing that in this sanctuary of trust, all that you need is already flowing toward you. Chapter 20. The Diamond in Silence. A merchant named Gertrude Shaw once lived in perpetual motion, filling every moment with noise and activity. She dreaded the empty spaces between events, between thoughts, between breaths. Her fear of silence drove her to create constant commotion, scheduling back-to-back meetings, playing background music at all hours, even sleeping with the television on. The emptiness felt like an abyss she must avoid at all costs. One evening, exhausted from her self-imposed chaos, Gertrude found herself alone in her office after everyone had left. As the building fell quiet, panic began to rise in her chest. But in that moment, something extraordinary happened. Instead of reaching for her phone or rushing to fill the void, she simply allowed herself to breathe. With each breath, the silence transformed. What had seemed like an empty void began to shimmer with presence. The quiet wasn't empty at all. It was filled with a crystalline awareness that polished her perception to pristine clarity. In this newfound stillness, Gertrude discovered an inner brilliance that had always been there, waiting behind the noise. The nature of silence reveals itself as the great amplifier of truth. When you cease filling space with artificial sound, the authentic rhythm of existence emerges. Your breath becomes the gentle conductor of an orchestra playing in perfect stillness. This is the paradox. In absolute quiet, everything speaks. Howard Pirelli, a corporate executive, stumbled upon this same truth through a different door. His days were filled with crucial decisions and complex problems that seemed to cloud his judgment. One morning, rather than diving straight into his emails, he sat in his office and simply followed his breath in silence. To his amazement, the mental fog that usually accompanied his mornings dissolved. As his breath moved through the silence, his mind gained a mirror-like quality, reflecting solutions with unexpected clarity. Tasks that once felt overwhelming now unfolded with natural ease. The silence hadn't emptied his mind. It had polished it to a brilliant shine. Through these experiences, we uncover a fundamental truth. Silence is not the absence of something, but the presence of everything. It is the polished lens through which all wisdom comes into focus. Your breath, moving through this silence, doesn't disturb the quiet. It reveals its depths. The universe speaks most clearly in silence. When you breathe without rushing to fill the space with thought or sound, you allow your inner wisdom to surface naturally. Like a jewel emerging from dark earth, your innate brilliance reveals itself in the quiet moments between breaths. Sacred practice. Find a space where you can be undisturbed. Sit comfortably and allow your breath to move naturally. Don't try to control your thoughts or create silence. Simply observe your breath as it flows through the quiet. Notice how each moment of stillness begins to shimmer with its own luminosity. Continue this practice until you sense calm crystallizing within, glowing like a precious jewel in the sanctuary of your awareness. Part 3. The Command of Creation. Chapter 21. The Voice That Breathes. In the quiet of her garden, beneath the morning sun, Lillian Conte whispered affirmations that seemed to dissolve into empty air. Day after day she repeated powerful phrases from books and teachers, yet her words felt hollow, lacking the force to shape her reality. Until one morning, something shifted. As she sat in contemplation, her attention naturally drifted to her breathing. With each inhale, she felt her chest expand with quiet confidence. With each exhale, she noticed her voice carried a different quality, deeper, more resonant, as if emerging from the earth itself. When she spoke her affirmations now, synchronized with this newfound breath awareness, the words no longer scattered like seeds on barren soil. Instead, they seemed to plant themselves in the fabric of existence. The universe responds not to words alone, but to the vibration that carries them. Your breath is the sacred carrier wave, transforming mere sounds into commands that reality must obey. When you breathe with intention before speaking, you charge your words with the power of PNEUMA, the living force that shapes all creation. Alfred Marino discovered this truth while preparing for an important presentation. Despite years of public speaking experience, his messages often fell flat. One day, before taking the stage, he paused to steady his breathing. As calm filled his lungs, he felt a subtle shift. His words flowed with natural authority, touching his audience in ways his carefully rehearsed speeches never had. He realized that relaxed breathing had allowed his authentic voice to emerge, carrying truth rather than technique. The ancient mystery schools taught that speech rides upon breath like light upon water. When your breathing aligns with universal rhythm, your words become vessels of creative force. Each syllable you speak carries the power to rearrange the invisible patterns that manifest as your life experience. Sacred practice. Before speaking any intention, pause to establish conscious breath. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. Let 3 full cycles pass in silence. Then, speaking in harmony with your natural rhythm, let your words emerge as living messengers of change. Your breath will carry them like wind carries seeds, planting them in fertile soil of infinite possibility. Note: this follows the template and includes the key elements from the instructions while maintaining the mystical yet practical tone of the series. Chapter 22. The Circle of Giving. In the quiet hills above a small village, Rose Donnelly lived modestly, always fearing there wouldn't be enough. Each morning she counted her savings, her breath growing shallow as anxiety tightened its grip. The numbers never seemed sufficient, no matter how carefully she managed her resources. Her chest barely moved as she breathed, unconsciously mirroring her constricted relationship with abundance. One dawn, while watching leaves dance in the morning breeze, something shifted in her awareness. The trees didn't clutch their leaves. They released them freely to the wind, trusting in the cycle of renewal. She noticed how her own breathing had become miserly, as if hoarding air itself. In that moment, she allowed her lungs to fill completely, then released a long, generous exhale. A profound truth emerged. The universe's abundance flows through the channel of giving. Your breath illustrates this eternal principle. Each time you inhale, you receive life's gift. Each time you exhale, you demonstrate trust in its continuous supply. When you breathe fully, you participate in existence's natural abundance. Your restricted breathing reflects your constrained relationship with prosperity. Your generous breath awakens the flow of universal provision. Francis Abate discovered this same truth within his merchant shop. For years, he carefully guarded his inventory, offering minimal discounts and watching his profits dwindle. His shoulders remained tense, his breathing shallow. One afternoon, while unpacking new wares, he remembered his grandmother's wisdom. Life gives to the giving heart. He consciously deepened his breath, feeling how fully releasing each exhale created space for a deeper inhale. As Francis began breathing more openly, he noticed himself becoming more generous with customers, offering sincere smiles, taking time to listen, sharing knowledge freely. To his amazement, his shop's energy transformed. Customers returned more frequently, referred friends, and sales flourished naturally. His prosperity expanded in perfect rhythm with his expanded breath. The universe operates through circulation. Wealth, like breath, must flow both ways. When you clutch your breath, you interrupt this sacred exchange. When you breathe generously, you align with abundance's natural current. Ancient practice. Sit quietly for several minutes. Begin with a complete inhale, filling your lungs entirely. Then release your breath slowly, completely, as if offering it as a gift to existence. Feel gratitude for the fresh breath that naturally returns. Let each exhale be an act of trust, each inhale a reception of universal kindness. Your breath will guide you into abundance's endless flow. Chapter 23. The Invisible Architecture. The ancient ones understood a truth that modern seekers often overlook: the sacred relationship between breath and structure. Through their wisdom, passed down through countless generations, they discovered that manifestation requires a stable foundation of breath to materialize in physical form. In a small coastal town, Esther Goodwin spent years studying visualization techniques, meticulously crafting mental images of her desires. Yet time after time, her carefully constructed visions would dissolve like morning mist. Her frustration mounted until one tranquil dawn, as she watched waves rhythmically touch the shore, understanding washed over her. Her breathing during visualization had been shallow, irregular, and unconscious. Like attempting to build a house on shifting sands, her unsteady breath patterns had undermined the very foundation of her creative work. The universe requires stability to transform energy into matter, and breath provides the scaffolding upon which reality takes shape. Once Esther aligned her breath with intention, matching each inhale to the strength she sought, and each exhale to the form she wished to create, her manifestations began taking root in the physical world. Her breath became the invisible architecture supporting her dreams. This truth manifested powerfully in the life of Melvin DeSoto, a carpenter who had long dreamed of building his ideal home. For years, his plans remained trapped on paper until he discovered the ancient practice of breath alignment. Each morning, before lifting a single tool, he would sit in silence, breathing steadily while holding the vision of his future home. With every inhale, he felt the structural integrity of his dream strengthen. Each exhale carried the beauty of design into physical space. Gradually, his breath-supported vision took shape, beam by beam, wall by wall, until his dream home stood complete, a testament to the power of aligned respiration. The ancients knew that breath is not merely air moving through lungs. It is the very force that gives shape to the formless. When you breathe with conscious intention, you provide the energetic framework necessary for manifestation. Sacred practice. As you prepare to manifest your desires, find a quiet space where you can breathe undisturbed. Begin by focusing on your natural breath rhythm. Then, with each inhale, feel yourself drawing in stability and strength. Imagine this breath as a beam of pure potential. With each exhale, sense yourself releasing beauty and form into your creation. Let your breath become the architect of your dreams, building the invisible structure that will house your manifestation. Continue this practice until you feel the solid foundation of your vision anchored in both breath and being. Chapter 24. The Fire Made of Air. In the ancient valleys where wisdom was first whispered, a woman named Ivy Herrera moved through her days feeling the subtle dimming of her inner fire. Once radiant with enthusiasm, She found herself wondering why her passions no longer sparked as they once did. Each morning she would gaze at her art supplies, remembering times when creativity flowed like a wild river, now reduced to a quiet stream. Through chance or divine orchestration, she encountered an aging artisan who shared the sacred knowledge of breath's relationship with inner fire. "Your breath," he explained, "is not merely air. It is the bellows that fans the flames of your spirit." He taught her to breathe as if drawing in light itself, to feel each inhalation kindle the embers of her dormant passions. As Ivy practiced this ancient art of conscious breathing, she discovered that passion had never truly faded. It had simply been waiting for her to remember how to breathe it awake. Her art studio became a sanctuary where each breath carried pigments of possibility. When she painted now, she first took 3 deep breaths, feeling them stoke her creative fire. Her works began to pulse with renewed vitality. The universe teaches that breath is the invisible flame that ignites all forms of passion. When you breathe with intention, you fan the sacred fire within. This truth extends beyond individual expression into the realm of connection with others. Roland Barbieri discovered this same principle within his marriage. Where once stood walls of silence, he and his wife found renewal through the simple practice of breathing together. Each evening, they would sit facing each other, synchronizing their breath until the space between them grew warm with unspoken understanding. Without words, their shared breath began to dissolve years of accumulated distance. They rediscovered the art of presence, not through elaborate gestures or lengthy discussions, but through the quiet alchemy of breathed intention. Their love rekindled not in grand moments, but in the gentle rhythm of conscious respiration. The law of attraction operates through this principle. Breath carries the power to ignite whatever it touches with fresh vitality. When you breathe with awareness into any relationship, you kindle the flame of authentic connection. Each conscious breath serves as tinder to the fire of human bonds. Through breath, you hold the power to rekindle any flame that appears to have dimmed. The warmth you seek in relationships exists within the very air you share. As you breathe with this awareness, you activate the eternal flame that dances between hearts. Practice. In silence, breathe warmth into your relationships until the air between you glows like quiet flame. Feel each breath as living light, gently illuminating the sacred space of connection. Let your respiration become a soft fire that warms without burning, that brightens without blinding. Through this practice, discover how breath transforms the invisible architecture of relationship into a hearth where hearts remember their natural radiance. Chapter 25. The Magnet of Calm. In a bustling marketplace, a merchant named Nancy Harlow rushed between stalls, clutching her ledger with white knuckles. Each morning began with lists of goals. Each evening ended in exhaustion. Though her shop prospered, peace eluded her like a shadow at noon. The more she grasped for success, the more it seemed to slip through her fingers. One dawn, as she prepared to open her shop, an old woman sat quietly nearby, her face serene despite the morning chaos. Nancy watched, transfixed, as the woman's gentle breathing seemed to create a sphere of tranquility around her. Without effort, customers naturally gravitated toward her simple flower stand, while Nancy's elaborate displays stood untouched. The universe speaks through subtle signs, and in that moment, Nancy glimpsed a truth that would transform her understanding of attraction. Success does not chase, it breathes. The force that draws abundance is not in the reaching, but in the being. When you breathe with intention, you become a living magnet. Each calm inhalation creates space for what seeks you. Each peaceful exhalation dissolves the barriers of resistance. The law of attraction responds not to your desires, but to your vibration, and nothing alters vibration more powerfully than the rhythm of your breath. This truth revealed itself further through Felix Padovani, a vineyard owner who had lost sleep planning every detail of his harvest. His nights filled with worried calculations until he learned the ancient art of breath awareness. As he practiced peaceful breathing each morning among his vines, he noticed something remarkable. Opportunities appeared without strain. Workers arrived when needed, weather patterns shifted favorably, and buyers emerged at perfect moments. "The grapes know when to ripen," he would say, "and life knows when to unfold." Your breath holds the power to shift from pursuit to attraction. When you cease the chase and instead cultivate inner serenity, you become as a lighthouse, steady, unwavering, naturally drawing ships to safe harbor. This is not passive waiting, but active allowing through conscious breathing. The universe responds not to what you want, but to what you are being. Through serene breath, you become the frequency of fulfillment, and life rearranges itself to match your calm certainty. Like a gentle mountain stream that naturally draws creatures to drink, your peaceful presence becomes an invitation to abundance. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space and settle into a comfortable position. Begin breathing slowly and deeply, imagining each breath as pure serenity flowing through your being. With every inhalation, feel yourself becoming a center of peace. With each exhalation, sense this tranquility extending outward, creating a magnetic field of calm. Continue this practice until serenity feels like your natural state, knowing that in this space of peaceful being, all that belongs to your highest good is naturally drawn to you. Chapter 26. The Breath That Commands Stars. In the depths of a sleepless night, Jeanette Morris stepped onto her balcony, her mind racing with unresolved worries. Above her stretched an endless canvas of stars, their light piercing through millions of years to reach her eyes. As she gazed upward, a peculiar sensation washed over her. Her breathing began to synchronize with the cosmic dance above. With each inhale, the universe seemed to expand within her chest. With each exhale, the stars appeared to pulse in harmony with her own rhythm. In that moment, she understood that the same force that kept celestial bodies in their orbits also moved through her lungs. The breath that sustained her was no different from the energy that sustained the cosmos. The boundaries between her small human existence and the vast expanse of space dissolved. Her anxieties, which had loomed so large moments before, shrank to insignificance against the backdrop of infinite possibility. She discovered that by breathing in rhythm with the stars, she could access a deeper current of universal order. Otto Farrell, a skeptical physicist, found himself drawn to similar conclusions through an entirely different path. For months, he had meticulously documented the correlation between his conscious breathing practices and the occurrence of meaningful events in his life. At first, he dismissed the patterns as mere coincidence. Yet the evidence became impossible to ignore. When he aligned his breath with clear intention, reality seemed to reorganize itself with uncanny precision. Job opportunities appeared the moment he needed them. Solutions emerged precisely when challenges arose. The mathematical probability of such perfect timing defied random chance. Through careful observation, Otto realized that breath served as a bridge between consciousness and the quantum field. By breathing with focused awareness, he could influence the collapse of probability waves into favorable outcomes. His intentions, carried on the vehicle of breath, seemed to encode reality itself. The ancient truth revealed itself. Breath is the thread that weaves consciousness through all scales of existence, from the microscopic to the cosmic. When you breathe with this awareness, you participate in the same creative force that shapes galaxies. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment under the night sky. Allow your breath to become soft and natural. As you inhale, feel the infinite expansion of the universe within your being. As you exhale, sense the stars responding to your rhythm, bending closer as if recognizing a kindred pulse. Let each breath remind you that you are made of the same essence as the cosmos, forever breathing, forever creating, forever new. Chapter 27. The Grace of Completion. In the quiet of an autumn evening, Sylvia Cantor sat amidst scattered vision boards and manifestation journals, her breath coming in short, eager bursts. She had mastered the art of breathing life into new beginnings, each inhale charged with dreams and possibilities. Yet something felt incomplete in her creations, like a song missing its final note. Through countless cycles of setting goals and reaching them, she noticed a pattern. The moment of achievement often left her gasping for the next aspiration, rather than savoring the completion of what she'd manifested. Her breath, much like her focus, stayed perpetually drawn inward, creating a subtle imbalance in the natural rhythm of creation. The universe speaks through the full circle of breath, not just its gathering. When you grasp only at beginnings, you deny the sacred power of endings. Each exhale carries wisdom that the inhale alone cannot possess. In the release lies the secret of true fulfillment, the understanding that every ending creates space for the next divine beginning. Benedict Paulo discovered this truth in the aftermath of his company's transition. For years, he had built his enterprise breathing only ambition and forward momentum. When the time came to sell the business, he initially met the ending with restricted breath, holding tight against the natural flow of completion. But as he learned to exhale fully into the experience, something extraordinary happened. The release itself became a doorway to unexpected abundance. The universe honors those who breathe in harmony with its rhythm of completion. When you resist endings, you create stagnation in the very air meant to carry your next blessing. Your breath holds the power to transform conclusions into commencements, but only when you allow both directions of its flow. The ancient ones knew that stars themselves breathe, expanding and contracting in cosmic rhythm. Their light reaches us as testament to the power of release, for it is in letting go that celestial radiance travels across infinity to touch our world. Your own breath carries this same stellar wisdom, this same potential to illuminate through completion. Practice. Rest your hands gently on your heart. As you inhale, gather awareness of something in your life that is completing its cycle. As you exhale, release any resistance to this ending. Let each breath become a graceful completion. feeling how every release creates sacred space for new beginnings. Continue this rhythm until you sense the natural harmony between endings and beginnings within your own breath. Chapter 28. The Temple of the Chest. In the quiet hours before dawn, Verna Russo dragged herself through her morning routine, shoulders hunched with the familiar weight of self-criticism. Each glance in the mirror brought judgment, each movement tinged with disapproval of the vessel that carried her through life. Years of viewing her body as an adversary had created deep grooves of resistance in her relationship with herself. Then came the morning when everything shifted. Sitting in meditation, a shaft of sunlight pierced through her window, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. As she watched their graceful dance, her breath naturally deepened. In that moment, she felt her rib cage expand, not as the mechanical action she'd always taken for granted, but as something extraordinary. Each breath filled an inner sanctuary she had never before recognized. Her chest became a cathedral of light, each rib an arch supporting the dome of divine presence. The simple act of breathing transformed into a holy communion. Where she once felt burden, she now experienced reverence. Her body was not a prison to escape, but a temple housing the sacred pulse of existence itself. This revelation rippled through every aspect of her life. She moved with new grace, ate with conscious appreciation, and rested in deep peace. Her body was no longer something to fix, but a living shrine to honor. Jasper Orlandi discovered this same truth through crisis. Chronic illness had left him weak and bitter, his lungs struggling against invisible constraints. Medical treatments brought limited relief until he encountered an ancient breathing practice that changed his perspective entirely. Rather than fighting against his body's limitations, he began approaching his breath as a form of devotion. Each inhalation became an offering, each exhalation a blessing. He transformed his daily breathing exercises from medical necessity into sacred ritual, treating his lungs not as failing organs but as an altar where spirit and matter met in perfect communion. Within months, his health underwent a remarkable transformation. His breathing capacity increased, his energy returned, and the persistent infections that had plagued him began to fade. The shift in his physical well-being emerged not from battling his body, but from honoring it as a sanctuary of divine breath. Ancient practice. Find a quiet space and place both hands on your chest. Feel the gentle rise and fall beneath your palms. With each breath, imagine you are entering a sacred temple, your own body. Let each inhalation be an act of reverence, each exhalation a prayer of gratitude. Experience your ribcage as a holy sanctuary where life itself is honored with every breath. Continue this practice until you feel the profound sacredness of simply being. Chapter 29. The Still Wind of Knowing. In a bustling marketplace, Hattie Lawrence stood frozen between two paths. One led toward the familiar comfort of her trading post, the other toward unknown territory where wandering merchants spoke of golden opportunities. Her mind raced with calculations and doubts, yet no clarity emerged from mental effort alone. As the crowd swirled around her, Hattie remembered the wisdom of an old mountain sage. When the mind spins, let the breath lead. She stepped aside, finding refuge in a quiet corner beneath a weathered awning. There she closed her eyes and allowed her breathing to settle into its natural rhythm. With each gentle inhalation, the chaos of competing thoughts began to subside. Through each soft exhalation, the pressure to decide dissolved into the air. She remained this way, breathing without agenda, until something remarkable occurred. Direction arose not as a thought, but as a felt knowing carried on the current of her own breath. The universe speaks its clearest guidance through the channel of unhurried respiration. When you force decisions through mental strain, you block the subtle signals already present in your natural breathing pattern. Your breath holds wisdom beyond reasoning. It knows the perfect timing for action and pause. This truth revealed itself profoundly to Clyde Romano during a pivotal moment in his diplomatic career. Faced with a delicate negotiation, he noticed how his breath remained smooth and steady when considering certain approaches, while growing shallow and constricted around others. By trusting the intelligence within his breathing, he navigated complex situations with remarkable grace. Your breath is an exquisite instrument of inner guidance, eternally tuned to universal wisdom. When choices loom large, pause and allow your breathing to lead the way. Notice how it responds to different possibilities, where it flows easily and where it meets resistance. The path that harmonizes with your natural breathing rhythm often proves to be your truest course. Ancient practice. Find a quiet space and settle into unhurried breathing. When facing a choice, hold each option gently in your awareness while observing your breath's response. Trust the direction that allows your breathing to remain most natural and free. Let each decision arise from this place of respiratory wisdom rather than mental strain. Chapter 30. The Infinite Exhale. A merchant traveled the busy streets of an ancient market, his aging bones weary from decades of trading. Each evening he would watch the sun sink behind distant mountains, feeling the weight of time upon his shoulders. Until one twilight, as crimson rays painted the sky, he discovered a truth that changed everything. The universe speaks through our departures as much as our arrivals. Each breath released carries the whisper of eternity, for nothing truly disappears. It merely changes form. Your exhalation joins the vast ocean of air that has sustained all life since the dawn of time. The same molecules that once filled the lungs of saints and sages now flow through you. When Della Rossi faced the threshold of mortality, fear gripped her heart until she witnessed how peacefully leaves fell from autumn trees. In that moment, she understood. Every release is a transformation. Her breathing shifted from desperate grasping to graceful surrender. She realized that what we call death is but an exhalation into infinite space. The breath that leaves your body does not vanish into void. It merges with the eternal dance of creation. Think of how water cycles through cloud and rain, river and sea, always changing form, yet never truly lost. So too does your essence persist beyond physical form. George Mancini's revelation came through dreams where deceased loved ones shared breath with him across dimensions. Their presence felt more real than memory, their essence as vital as spring air. Through this experience, he understood that breath transcends the boundary between seen and unseen worlds. The PNEUMA flowing through you is not confined to flesh. It is the current of consciousness itself, eternal and unbound. When you breathe mindfully, you participate in this timeless exchange. Each inhalation draws from infinity, Each exhalation returns to it. Fear of ending dissolves when you recognize that breath is not yours to keep, but yours to share in an eternal cycle. The same force that ignites stars flows through your lungs. You are not separate from this cosmic respiration, but integral to its rhythm. Sacred practice. As you lie in bed each night, breathe slowly and deeply. With every exhale, release not just air, but any tension about time or endings. Feel each breath merge with the infinite breath of existence. Let your consciousness expand with every release, knowing that what flows from you joins the eternal dance of being. Practice this gentle surrender until peace becomes your natural state. Part 5. The Union That Breathes the Universe. Chapter 31. The Breath Between Two Souls. In the quiet corners of a suburban home, Marjorie Bell stood at her kitchen window, watching raindrops trace patterns on the glass. For months, she and her husband had filled their evenings with heated discussions about finances, schedules, and their diverging dreams. Each conversation seemed to push them further apart, until one evening, exhausted from another fruitless debate, they simply sat together in silence. In that moment, something remarkable occurred. Without planning or discussion, their breathing naturally fell into rhythm. The tension that had built between them began to dissolve with each shared breath. Marjorie noticed how her husband's shoulders relaxed, matching the rise and fall of her own chest. Words had failed them, but breath united them in a language more ancient than speech. Within that synchronicity, they rediscovered what words had obscured, the fundamental connection that had drawn them together years before. Their problems didn't vanish, but approaching them from this place of shared rhythm transformed their interactions. Solutions emerged not from winning arguments, but from breathing together in understanding. This truth echoed years later in Franklin DeVito's experience with his newborn daughter. During one particularly challenging night, as his infant's cries filled their home, Franklin discovered that trying to soothe her with words or rocking motions only increased her distress. Instinctively, he held her close to his chest and began taking slow, deliberate breaths. To his amazement, his daughter's rapid breathing gradually synchronized with his own calm rhythm. The miracle wasn't in any technique or strategy. It was in the simple act of shared breath. This wordless dialogue between father and daughter revealed the profound truth that unity exists in the space between breaths, where all beings connect in the eternal dance of giving and receiving life itself. Through breath, we remember that separation is an illusion maintained by thought. When we breathe together, we participate in life's original harmony. No disagreement can withstand the gentle power of shared breath. No distance can survive in its intimate space. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment with someone you care about. Sit comfortably together, close enough to sense each other's presence. Without forcing or directing, allow your breathing to find its natural rhythm. Notice how distinction gradually dissolves into unity, how two separate streams of breath merge into one river of life. Let this shared breath remind you that beneath all differences, we participate in the same eternal flow of PNEUMA. Chapter 32. The Cloud That Carries Memory. In a small seaside town, Opal Giannetti carried her past like stones in her pockets. Each morning she would wake feeling the familiar weight of old hurts and regrets pressing against her chest. Until one dawn, as she watched the sun rise over the water, She noticed how her breath matched the rhythm of the waves. With each inhale, the ocean drew back. With each exhale, it returned, transformed. That morning marked the beginning of her liberation. As she learned to breathe with conscious awareness, she discovered that memories, even painful ones, were not solid things, but more like morning mist. They appeared substantial only until touched by the warmth of present attention. Through her breath, she found she could hold space for these old stories without being consumed by them. The universal law reveals itself. Consciousness, like air, cannot be tainted permanently. Just as the atmosphere purifies itself through constant movement, your inner weather system cleanses itself through the sacred cycle of breath. Each inhalation brings fresh possibility. Each exhalation carries away what no longer serves. Curtis Jenkins encountered this truth in an unexpected way. During a family gathering, he felt the familiar constriction in his chest. Generations of unspoken grief, anger, and fear seemed to live in that tightness. But this time, instead of bracing against it, he began to breathe deeply and steadily. With each exhale, he sensed not just his own tension releasing, but also the accumulated weight his ancestors had carried. Through his conscious breathing, Curtis became a channel for healing that reached beyond his individual life. He discovered that when one person learns to breathe freely, they create space for others to do the same. The air that moves through us connects us not only to each other, but to all who have come before and all who will follow. Your breath is the gentle wind that can scatter the fog of memory. It does not erase what has been, but transforms how the past lives within you. Through conscious breathing, you become like the sun that does not fight the mist, but simply shines until clarity naturally emerges. Ancient practice. Sit quietly and imagine your breath as a soft breeze moving through the landscape of your life. With each exhale, watch as the weight of old stories dissolves into the air around you. Continue until you sense only gratitude's spaciousness remaining, like a clear sky after storm clouds pass. Chapter 33. The Air of Abundance. In a small apartment overlooking the city, Willa Parsons sat at her kitchen table each evening, methodically arranging coins into neat stacks. The ritual had become her nightly practice, born from years of financial uncertainty. Each copper piece seemed to whisper tales of lack, until one transformative dusk when she discovered something remarkable. That evening, as golden light filtered through her window, Willa noticed how tense her breathing had become while counting. On impulse, she pushed the coins aside and took one full, deep breath. As her lungs expanded, she felt an unexpected spaciousness, not just in her chest, but in her relationship with money itself. With each subsequent breath, Willa began to sense abundance as an ever-present air that surrounded her, waiting only to be inhaled. She realized her constricted breathing had been mirroring her constricted beliefs about prosperity. As her breath grew more generous, her energy field naturally aligned with wealth's true nature, infinite and flowing. Dean Maloney discovered this same principle from a different angle. As CEO of a growing company, he had always begun his mornings scrutinizing financial reports, his shoulders tense and his breathing shallow, until one day inspiration led him to start his day differently. Before opening any spreadsheets, Dean sat in his office practicing 10 full breaths of gratitude. He breathed in the morning light, the opportunity ahead, the abundance already present. With each breath, his perception shifted from scarcity's anxious calculations to prosperity's natural rhythm. Soon he noticed his business decisions flowing from a deeper wisdom. Where numbers once clouded his vision, intuition now guided his choices. His breath had become a bridge between material concerns and universal intelligence. The universe operates through expansion and contraction, the same rhythm as your breath. When you breathe abundantly, you align with creation's generous nature. Each inhale connects you to infinite supply. Each exhale distributes prosperity through your being. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment and settle into a comfortable position. Begin breathing as though the entire universe is filling your lungs with golden prosperity. Feel abundance entering every cell of your body. As you exhale, sense yourself becoming a channel of blessing, releasing prosperity to all beings. Continue this breath pattern until you feel yourself becoming one with abundance's eternal flow. Chapter 34. The Ocean. Inside. In the gentle rhythms of dawn, Bonnie Trask would walk along the shoreline, her bare feet kissing the wet sand. Each morning, as waves rolled in and out, she noticed how their movement mirrored the rise and fall of her chest. The ocean taught her its ancient wisdom, that all life moves in cycles of receiving and releasing. At first, she tried to control the timing of her breath, until one morning the sea whispered its truth. True power lies in synchronizing with nature's pulse rather than imposing our will upon it. As she matched her breathing to the waves, her anxieties about financial security dissolved like sea foam returning to the deep. The universe revealed its abundance through this oceanic breath. Each wave brought gifts, shells, smooth stones, sometimes coins or lost treasures. Bonnie understood that abundance flows naturally when we breathe in harmony with life's greater rhythms. Her small seaside art gallery, once struggling, began to flourish as she learned to conduct business with this tidal awareness. Irving Greco discovered similar wisdom during his recovery from grief. After losing his wife, his emotions had become a stormy sea, threatening to drown him in sorrow. A therapist suggested he listen to recorded ocean sounds during meditation. At first, he resisted, believing such a simple practice couldn't possibly ease his pain. But as he surrendered to the steady rhythm of waves, something shifted. The sound of water flowing in and out became his anchor to the present moment. Each morning and evening, he would close his eyes and breathe with the ocean's recorded voice. Gradually, his heart began to heal, finding comfort in nature's constant reminder that everything flows in cycles of renewal. Within months, Irving noticed that his relationships improved, his sleep deepened, and his sense of connection to life strengthened. The ocean's breath had taught him that healing doesn't require force, only alignment with the natural rhythms that sustain all existence. Ancient practice. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Envision yourself beside the vast ocean. As you breathe in, imagine the tide gently rolling toward shore, bringing gifts of abundance. As you exhale, feel yourself releasing into the ocean's endless rhythm. Let each breath flow like waves, unhurried, natural, and full of grace. Continue this practice until you sense yourself becoming one with the eternal tide of giving and receiving. Chapter 35. The Breath That Knows the Way. In the quiet hours before dawn, Faye Romano sat at her desk, surrounded by career advice books and endless pro-con lists. Her mind raced with possibilities. Should she take the corporate position or pursue her artistic dreams? The weight of decision pressed heavily upon her chest until she noticed her breathing had become shallow and constricted. In that moment of awareness, she set aside her papers and simply focused on her breath. With each steady inhalation, she felt her chest expand with possibility. With each gentle exhalation, her grip on planning loosened. Rather than forcing a decision, she allowed her natural breathing rhythm to guide her. When she thought about the corporate role, her breath tightened. When she imagined pursuing her art, her breathing flowed with ease. Day by day, she followed this subtle compass within her lungs. Opportunities appeared that her plans could never have conceived. A chance to teach art while developing her own work. A connection that led to gallery representation. Her path unfolded not through strategic planning, but through the wisdom of her own respiration. The breath knew what her mind could not calculate. The perfect timing, the aligned choices, the authentic direction. Chester Balducci discovered this same truth on the open road. As a traveling salesman, he had always plotted his routes meticulously, yet stress and exhaustion plagued his journeys until the day he began listening to his breath instead of his schedule. When his breathing felt strained, he knew to pause at the next rest stop. When his breath moved easily, he continued driving. Following this inner guidance, he arrived at destinations refreshed rather than depleted. His sales improved because he met clients in a state of natural energy rather than forced enthusiasm. The breath reveals what the mind obscures. While thoughts race ahead creating elaborate maps, your natural breathing rhythm already knows the way. Like waves finding shore, like birds riding wind currents, your breath will carry you to where you need to be. Sacred practice. Allow your breath to become your compass. Close your eyes and breathe naturally. Notice how your breath responds to different options before you. Trust that your lungs hold ancient wisdom about which path serves your highest good. Let each breath guide your next step, knowing that divine intelligence flows through your very respiration. Chapter 36. The Promise of Renewal. In the quiet hours before dawn, Viola King studied her reflection, tracing new lines that seemed to appear overnight. Each morning brought fresh evidence of time's passage. Another gray hair, another crease at the corner of her eyes. Fear wrapped around her heart like ivy, whispering that life was slipping away moment by moment. But one morning, as she sat in her garden watching the sunrise, something shifted. Her breath caught her attention, not as the mechanical process she'd taken for granted, but as a miracle unfolding within her chest. Each inhalation arrived fresh, untouched, brand new. She realized that while her body marked time's passage, her breath remained eternally young. This revelation transformed her relationship with time. Every breath became an act of renewal, a fresh beginning. She noticed how the morning air felt crisp and alive in her lungs, how each exhale released her into present moment awareness. Age was not an enemy, but a teacher, showing her how to breathe more deeply into life's unfolding mystery. Harvey Donatelli discovered this same truth through different circumstances. After years of pushing himself to exhaustion in his medical practice, his body finally rebelled. Fatigue settled into his bones like lead weights. traditional remedies offered little relief until he learned about the body's constant renewal through breath. In his research, he discovered that each breath literally reconstructs the body at a cellular level. The oxygen we inhale becomes part of an ancient alchemy, transforming air into life force, creating new cells from pure light. This knowledge shifted his perspective from seeing his body as wearing down to recognizing it as continuously rebuilding itself. Through conscious breathing, Harvey found his energy returning, not through forcing or pushing, but through allowing each breath to restore him naturally. He learned to trust the wisdom of his body's perpetual renewal system. Each inhalation became a gift of fresh vitality, each exhalation a release of what no longer served. Ancient practice. Settle into a comfortable position and bring your awareness to your breath. With each inhalation, imagine pure light entering your body, forming new cells filled with vitality and life force. Feel this renewal spreading through every tissue and organ. As you exhale, envision your breath blessing the world with your reborn energy, sharing your light with all beings. Continue this practice for several minutes, allowing each breath to remake you anew. Chapter 37. The Breath of Gratitude. In the soft light of morning, Ethel Marino stood before her mirror, reciting gratitude affirmations as she had done for years. Yet something felt hollow in the words, as if they floated on the surface of life without sinking to its depths. Then one day, as sunlight streamed through her window, she simply breathed in the moment's beauty instead of naming it. In that pristine inhalation, thankfulness became not a thought, but a living current flowing through her being. The universe responds not to what we say, but to what we breathe. When gratitude infuses your every breath, it transforms from concept to vibration, from idea to essence. Through each conscious breath, you enter the sacred exchange, where appreciation becomes alive, dynamic, and magnetic. Your breath carries the signature of your true feeling. Words may deceive, but breath reveals the authentic resonance of your heart. When you breathe gratitude, you broadcast its frequency across the fabric of existence, and the universe cannot help but mirror that vibration back to you in endless forms of abundance. Nelson Petrelli discovered this truth in an unexpected way. As CEO of a struggling company, he had tried everything to lift team morale, motivational speeches, recognition programs, even increased benefits. Yet, discord persisted until one afternoon, following an especially tense meeting, he asked everyone to pause and share a single breath of appreciation together. That unified breath changed everything. In that moment of shared respiration, artificial barriers dissolved. The simple act of breathing gratitude together accomplished what no amount of talking could achieve. Nelson began ending every meeting this way, one collective breath of thanks. Within months, the entire organizational culture shifted from tension to harmony, from scarcity to abundance. The breath that carries gratitude needs no words to work its magic. It speaks in the language of pure energy, weaving appreciation into the very atmosphere around you. When you breathe thankfulness, you don't just express it, you become it. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space and settle into a comfortable position. Begin by taking 3 natural breaths to center yourself. Then, with your next inhalation, imagine drawing in pure golden light of gratitude. Let this light fill every cell of your being. As you exhale, Feel this grateful energy flowing out as a silent blessing over all of existence. Continue this practice for several minutes, allowing each breath to whisper its wordless thanks to life itself. Chapter 38. The Eternal Home. In the quiet dawn of a distant city, Henrietta Zito wandered through unfamiliar streets, carrying the weight of displacement in her shoulders. Though she had crossed oceans and traversed continents searching for that elusive sense of home, each new destination left her feeling like a stranger to herself and others. Until one morning, as she sat in a small park watching pigeons scatter and reunite, her breath caught her attention. With each rise and fall of her chest, she noticed something remarkable, a sensation of rightness, of being precisely where she needed to be. The air flowing through her lungs spoke an ancient truth. Home was not a place to find, but a presence to remember. Her breath, steady and constant, had accompanied her across every border, through every transition. It was her most faithful companion, the hearth around which her entire being gathered. This awareness transformed everything. Each breath became a doorway opening into infinite belonging. The world around her shifted from foreign to familiar, not because it changed, but because she recognized the same rhythm of life pulsing through everything. Trees, birds, strangers passing by, all shared this sacred current of air, this eternal dance of giving and receiving. Later, in a meditation hall overlooking the mountains, Roger Fellini discovered this same truth. As his breathing deepened into natural rhythm, tears began flowing, not from sadness, but from recognition. Each breath united him with the vast ocean of existence. He felt held by something greater than himself, something that had always been there, waiting to be acknowledged. The universe wasn't a distant concept, but an immediate presence, breathing with him, through him, as him. Your breath carries this same wisdom. It knows the way home because it is home. When you breathe consciously, you activate an ancient remembering in your cells. Each inhalation whispers that you belong exactly as you are, exactly where you are. Each exhalation confirms your place in the grand symphony of existence. Practice settling into the warmth of your breathing as the truest home, feeling every inhale say, "Welcome," and every exhale sigh, "I am here." If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. Everything is PNEUMA, and now you feel it within each heartbeat. With every rise and fall of your chest, you participate in the sacred machinery of creation. Your breath forms the living bridge between the unseen realm of pure potential and the visible world of form and circumstance. The universe listens not to desperate pleas or forceful demands, but to the steady rhythm of your conscious breathing that carries unwavering faith. When you breathe as life breathes, slowly, lovingly aware, existence itself responds. You have uncovered the profound truth that manifestation flows not from anxious wishing, but through the elegant biological prayer of each breath. Your lungs serve as the sacred altar where energy bows in gratitude before flowing outward to bless every cell of your being and every aspect of your experience. As your breathing becomes increasingly sacred, ordinary moments transform into encounters with the divine. The mundane shimmers with ethereal light as you recognize the presence of PNEUMA flowing through all things. Each breath connects you to the infinite intelligence that orchestrates galaxies and guides the unfoldment of flowers. You no longer stand as a separate entity striving to influence an external universe. Instead, you have become the living channel through which universal consciousness expresses itself. The cosmic breath moves through you, as you, creating through your aware participation in its eternal dance. There remains nothing to pursue, nothing to chase, nothing to force into being. You need only breathe with presence, allowing each inhalation to draw in divine potential, and each exhalation to release it into form. Through this sacred respiration, you remember your true nature as both the breath and the breather, both the prayer and its answer.
If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.